Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Papa Jug podcast. We had an interesting development, and it turns out that the Brits were smart and they got a concession out of Microsoft. The Americans are stupid, didn't, and won't, and I had a thought about that. So let's talk.
Party people, how you feeling?
How is everybody doing? It is a Friday night. We are recording at 7:30 as usual, and it is October the 13th. It is Friday the 13th, and it happens in the spooky month of October. How cool is that? It doesn't happen all the time, but it did happen this week. I hope you're all doing well. It is an interesting day in the world of gaming and content creation and technology and billionaires. I only apply to some of those categories. It's not the billionaire one. So it's been an interesting time. I actually had to make a very last minute addition to tonight's schedule, so that's interesting. But everything is up on the screen here. So we do have, in fact, you're going to see one of these logos twice tonight. We are going to be talking about Rooster Teeth. We're going to be talking about Unity and their CEO. We're going to be talking about Twitch for one good reason and one bad reason. We're going to be talking about the Xbox for one. I'll leave it up to you for one reason, and then for another reason that's not great. And then certainly Activision Blizzard. The Activision Blizzard deal is tonight's big chat, so that's going to be at the end of the show, so stick around for that one. As always, please, if you haven't done so already, make sure you drop a subscription on the YouTube channel. I would really appreciate that. We are on the road to 500 and currently sitting at like 210, I think. So we're going to be doing that one. And, that's right. If you want to join the PJParty Discord, please do that. That is the hub of our community. That is where most of our people hang out. We've got over 200 members there. We've got over 40 channels for you to have fun in. You can share dog pictures and food and gaming news and cool pictures of your videos of your video gameplay and all that stuff. So there's a lot going on, but definitely join the Discord if you are looking to connect better with the community. That is the place that you want to do it. So up first tonight, we are going to be talking about a very interesting topic, but like I said, we're talking about Twitch today for one good reason and one bad reason. Unfortunately, we're kicking things off with the bad reason, and that is Twitch has laid off more people. That's unfortunate because they already laid off more than 400 people earlier this year, and this is another round of it. So very, very unfortunate stuff. Interesting news about this one, though. These layoffs mostly impacted the customer experience team. I find that interesting when companies do that because they're going to be laying off people that are supposed to handle the satisfaction of their customers. That's not good. It's not good for customers because that means the customers are getting less service. And if your customers are getting less service, but your customers are your revenue source, how does that help your revenue? Just a odd thing. Now in both announcements, so the one earlier this year, Amazon said that they were laying off a bunch of people and Twitch was just a part of that, as always. But one of the things that was interesting was nowhere in the March announcement and nowhere in what is now the October announcement, nowhere in it did it say that the executives of the company are taking a pay cut. It didn't happen. No, they didn't say due to the inappropriate or misguided leadership or poor decision making or bad accounting. None of those phrases popped up. And as a result of that, we're going to penalize the executives that made these decisions. No. It was, we are a multi-billion-dollar company who still haven't turned a profit after buying Justin TV over a decade ago. We still haven't figured out how to turn a profit, so we're going to lay off hundreds of people because it's their fault. I guess it makes business sense. I'm sure it's easier to lay off somebody who makes $20 an hour than it does who makes $20 million a year. I understand that. But at some point the decision maker has to be the one responsible for incurring the penalty, right? Because I'm pretty sure nobody at the customer service department, like that customer experience, person, they're not the reason that Amazon had to lay off thousands of people. There's an executive who is. There's a whole boardroom of people who are collectively responsible for making these bad decisions. Not the person handling the customer experience phone call. But hey, priorities. The people who make bad decisions get to keep making them. I guess that's the way that works. In related news, I'll be at TwitchCon next week. I'm sure they can't wait to see me now. Yeah, that's going to be woo. No, chat, they don't. They don't ever. Well, no, I take that back. No, sometimes they have. Let's be fair. There are corporations and there are executives where their bad leadership, whether intentional or otherwise, I'm not saying they're inept, but the people who caused it, they will voluntarily take pay cuts. They will take no pay. There's quite a few CEOs in the last few years who have said, look, the company is struggling. I will not take a paycheck this year because I don't need it. So I'm going to take my paycheck and give that to the employees so that we can continue to give people jobs. That does happen. Apparently not at Amazon, apparently not at Twitch, but, more people are losing their job from the customer experience team. Again, if your customers are your source of revenue and you decide that revenue is low, so we're going to serve our customers less, I'm clearly missing a lot of math. I did okay in math school. Math school? That's not what I meant. I did okay in math class in school. I didn't get that lesson, I guess. So that sucks. But I will be at TwitchCon next week, and I will be talking to them about this because for whatever reason, when I go places, I find all the executives and I have conversations. I talked to the CEO last year. I talked to I talked to the old CEO and the current CEO. I talked to Dan Clancy and I talked to Emmett Shear. I spoke to the head of their safety division. I spoke to the head of monetization. I spoke to all these people, and I have more questions this year. Prepare yourselves. Papa Juggernaut's coming. I have questions and I have a badge. Anyways, so yeah, it's very unfortunate, but that is what's going on. I did want to share, there was a little bit of news regarding, so the March cuts came as part of the plans from parent Amazon to reduce payroll by 9,000. Amazon, blah, 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 blah. And it was, where did it go? Yes, here we go. This was the quote from Amazon CEO Andy Jassy. Quote, given the uncertain economy in which we reside and the uncertainty that exists in the near future, we have chosen to be more streamlined in our costs and headcount. It doesn't include him, but oh well, life will go on, whatever. All right. So yes, I will be at TwitchCon. A couple of reminders about that. Yes, I do talk to the executives at Twitch when I go to TwitchCon. I will be doing that again this year. For anybody that is going to TwitchCon, if you are going, I do encourage you, come find me at TwitchCon. I will be posting locations. I will be giving out an exclusive piece of merch that no one's ever seen before, and it will not be for sale in the PJParty merch store. So that's a cool little collector's item if you meet me. You can also meet two other members of the Rise Above team. I'm going, Captain Morgan is going, and Witchy Nerd X are going. So you're going to be able to meet them. And then I'm also going to be talking about some news and announcements that I will have exclusively at TwitchCon. And hopefully there will also be a live interview. Maybe I will tell you, I don't expect it to be live. The person that I'm supposed to meet at TwitchCon is a, how do I put this? A very famous Twitch partner. We are supposed to meet. The scheduling for them is way up in the air because they've got 1,000 commitments to do, as a lot of partners do at TwitchCon. But this particular person has a very special role at TwitchCon. So we're not sure if it's going to be a live interview. Quite honestly, we may end up just meeting and then scheduling a further interview down the road because they have no idea if they're going to have time. So it's kind of chaotic right now, but we're going to try and nail it down before we get there and we'll see what happens. So I'm working on that kind of stuff. And then also, of course, and I'll be meeting the PJParty logo designer. I will be meeting Hayden one night, or afternoon, or morning. I have no idea, because he just gave me his schedule, so we're going to coordinate that stuff. So I'm finally going to meet the person who designed the logo that you see everywhere, including on the piece of exclusive merch that I haven't revealed. So all kinds of cool stuff. But we will be talking about these layoffs. I will be speaking to, hopefully, Dan Clancy. I will be speaking to, hopefully, again, the head of monetization, which, again, is changing because a lot of executives at Twitch are leaving and they're getting replaced. So interesting stuff. So let's move right on. We're going to go to topic number 2. Topic number 2 tonight is Unity. Why are we talking about Unity? Well, as my friend Real Chappie let me know the moment that he saw the news article, and I was like, yeah, I already got that on the agenda, buddy. The Unity CEO gone. Now, officially from Unity, they said that the CEO has resigned, effective immediately. That's typically not how successful executives resign. Normally, they resign, and there will be, we're gonna be headhunt, like the CEO of Sony or PlayStation. He recently resigned, but he's gonna be with PlayStation for another 6 months while they go through the search, and he'll be leaving on March 31st of 2024. CEO of Unity resigned and left the building. He's like, peace, I'm out. I have a feeling, just my thought, just from me, I have a feeling that this CEO was very, very not politely asked to resign. This is the same CEO who decided to start charging game developers for every single installation that they get. That didn't go over well. We've talked about it on a previous episode here on the show. It was bad. It was so bad for Unity. They got about 3 days of harsh, angry blowback from their customers, which in this case are game developers. It's not the end users of the game. Unity's customers are the developers, and the developer community exploded. They were so incensed. How can you do that? You are literally going to bankrupt some customers effective January 1st. And it was terrible. And so finally, Unity backtracked on the whole thing. Unity said that we're not going to do it exactly as we announced it. It was poorly. I think they said poorly communicated. I had a quote from them. Where did it go? Oh shit! I think it reloaded. God damn. Anyways, so they basically backtracked and said, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to charge nonprofits. We're not going to charge people that don't get a lot of downloads. So if you have, let's say, I think the minimum threshold is 200,000 downloads and $2 million in revenue or something like that. If you have less than that, we're not going to charge you what they're calling their runtime fee. Okay, that's what this whole thing was. Anyways, what I thought was interesting was that the same CEO, John Riccitiello, yeah. John was the same guy who implemented all of their recent revenue streams to begin with. Like, he's the one who transitioned them into a subscription model. And I gotta wonder, was he pushing for, this is how we're going to make more money. This is how we're going to make more money. We're going to do another thing that's drastically changing our business model in terms of revenue generation. We're going to drastically change that. The community will be fine. We're going to push through because everybody loves it. Like, did he over leverage? Did he think he had a stronger hand than he did? He and Unity, he and his company. Did he think that strength was better and more hearty than it actually was? And he just grossly miscalculated. And when it came time for the blowback to get dealt with, he dealt with it wrong. And that's where I'm wondering, did that occur? And that's where the board said, look, you're not the guy anymore. You don't understand the current market. You don't understand our customer base anymore. You are not right to lead this company into the future. We have to ask you to leave. That's the scenario that I can play out in my head in terms of how the CEO of $1 billion company is no longer there. Because he was the CEO, he was the president, he was the chairman, like, he was the dude, and they were just like, bye, you got to go. Now, they did get somebody in his place, which I think we need to recognize so that we can keep this person accountable. What the hell was his name? Oh, yeah. Roloff Botha. Love the name, dude. Good job. Your parents did a wonderful job. Roloff Botha. He is the lead independent director of the Unity board. He has been appointed the chairman of the board to fill that particular seat. He did say that Riccitiello will continue to advise Unity to ensure a smooth transition, but I have a feeling that that's a cover story, because if he was advising, he could still be there. Like, he could advise from his chair. He could advise and say, look, I'm going to coach you. I'm going to show you what I do on a daily basis. I'm going to show you what we're working on. And I'll do that until I leave. No. They gave him the door. It's like, oh, that's great. Yes, please advise us from your living room. Get the fuck out. That's what I'm thinking. That, again, these are the scenarios that I am playing out in my head for what I've seen and what I know of how these corporations function. This is what I'm imagining is they wanted him to advise from a far, far away land. And that's what happened. So Roloff is going to be the new chairman of the board, which he said something interesting. I wanted to read this quote. This is from the new chairman of the board. Working with Unity under John's leadership has been one of the highlights of my career. John joined the Unity board in 2013 and stepped in to lead the company in 2014 at a time when we faced significant challenges. John has led Unity through incredible growth over the last nearly 10 years, helping us transition from a perpetual license to a subscription. Perpetual license to a subscription model, enabling developers to monetize, building other game services to serve our creator community, leading us through an IPO, and positioning us as a pioneer in the developer community. Unity would not be where it is today without the impact of his contributions. I remain excited for the future of Unity. I don't disagree with any of that. I think that is a genuine statement. I think he is paying a fair tribute to what the CEO had done in the past. Fair enough. For John's part, he says, it's been a privilege to lead Unity for nearly a decade and serve our employees, customers, developers, and partners, all of whom have been instrumental to the company's growth. I look forward to supporting Unity through this transition and following the company's future success. ... while not working there anymore, period. So, okay, that's interesting. That's what they said. Great. The new CEO. So, like I said, Roloff Botha, that is the new chairman of the board. The new CEO is James Whitehurst. He is the interim CEO and president. And a little bit of background on Whitehurst. He is a seasoned technology and public company executive. He previously served as a senior advisor and president at IBM. After joining through IBM's acquisition of Red Hat, which was a leading provider of open source enterprise IT products and services, where he served as a president and CEO from 2008 to 2020. So he has tech experience. The fact that he came from IBM and Red Hat, not sure how much gaming experience, so I'm not sure like how much, and I have not looked into Whitehurst's background that deeply. I literally just read the article and was like, okay, this guy's got some experience at least leading big companies, but I don't know if he understands the gaming community and what it means to be a game developer or game promoter. So that's going to be an interesting one. We're going to see where that goes. And what is this? Oh, they're emotes. Okay, that's cool. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, attention span just went bye-bye, and I just made chat vanish. Whoopsie. Hold on. I literally just made chat go away. Oh, Nike. Hold on. Chat? Is it the right chat? There, chat's back. Okay. I'm sorry. There was a button here. There was a button that had it had a big red heart on it. I was like, what the hell is this? It's little emojis that I can pop up, but I have to log into Google, whatever. Yeah, hi again. Hello. Faulty's like, bye. Chappie's like, hello. Chat's as confused as I am. It's fine. So Whitehurst says, I'm honored to join Unity as the interim chairman or interim CEO and president at this important time in its evolution, aka the dumpster fire. With the company's experienced leadership and passionate employees, I'm confident that Unity is well positioned to continue enhancing its platform, strengthening its community of customers, developers, and partners, and focusing on its growth and profitability goals. I look forward to working closely with the board and our talented global team to execute on our strategy, and I anticipate a seamless transition. No, it will not be a seamless transition because you're entering in one of the worst times in Unity's history. That won't be seamless. The CEO left the day he resigned. That won't be seamless. You had to step in assuming control of $1 billion corporation with no background on it. It was like, okay, it's my new job. I'm here for work. Like, that's not seamless, man. Like, good job on the positivity, but no, this is going to be rough. Unity will release third quarter 2023 financial results after the market close on Thursday, November 9th, which we don't care about. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. The real big financial results are going to be the ones in first quarter of next year. That's where we're going to see the impact. That's where we're going to see when they do the first quarter results. That's where we're going to find out what the impact of this new runtime fee is. Until then, it's just sitting there biting our nails, waiting with anticipation, going, oh, how bad is this going to be? Because there's some game studios, we talked about this on a past episode, there are some game studios that have said we're closing on December 31st. Our entire product line is built on Unity. We make more money than they're asking for, and they're going to they're going to bankrupt us. We're not going to be able to pay people. So we're closing our doors. We're done. Let's find out. We'll see if it's really that bad. It's going to be an interesting one. So that's it. Unity CEO out the door. We now have a brand new CEO and president and a separate role for the chairman of the board. That is a new person who's been with the company for a long time. So there's nothing new there. And the chairman of the board has a very unique role in a corporation. It's not day-to-day operations. That's what the presidents and CEOs are for. So it'll be interesting. Let's move right along to Rooster Teeth. Why are we talking about Rooster Teeth? Well, because Rooster Teeth made an interesting decision. Rooster Teeth has taken a lot of their most popular videos ever off of YouTube. That's a weird one, but it's not weird when you hear the reason. So what happened? Rooster Teeth has moved some of its most popular content, including Red vs. Blue seasons. I loved Red vs. Blue. You guys got to remember, like, I was playing games, a lot of games, when Halo first came out. Like, I love the Halo franchise. It is a ton of fun. The storyline with real Halo, and then what Rooster Teeth did with Red vs. Blue and the comedy that was it. I loved all of that. So Rooster Teeth has moved some of its popular content, including most Red vs. Blue seasons, off of YouTube entirely, and they are now only available on the Rooster Teeth website. This is one of those things where you look at it and you say, okay, like, is there a dispute with YouTube? Like, were they getting, like, were there takedowns? Were they getting copyright? Like, what was going on? Why would they do this? It's real simple. Where did it go? Oh, yes. So a senior writer and showrunner, Carrie Shawcross, posted a video last Thursday announcing the change, explaining, quote, YouTube revenue is just not cutting it for us right now. Literally, for all the traffic that they got on some of their most popular titles and content, YouTube ads just weren't enough. It just wasn't paying enough. So, Shawcross said that Rooster Teeth also moved Camp to their website. Episodes will continue to be ad-supported and free to watch, so you can do both. He said Rooster Teeth, quote, gets approximately 5 to 10 times more value from ads it runs on its own website, adding that, quote, animation's hard and it's expensive. That number surprised me. There's always going to be a discrepancy when you control more of the ad revenue. So when you have the ad platform, if it's your website or your ad network or whatever, you get more of the money. Because you don't have to do the same profit shares that you would if it was another network. So, like, this is why Amazon has become an advertising powerhouse. A lot of people don't know this, but most of the ads you now see on the internet are actually run on an Amazon network, not Google, not Facebook. It's Amazon. Amazon is a multi-billion-dollar ad network company. Forget the shipping, forget the products, forget Prime deals. It's an ad network. It is hugely profitable for Amazon. It bankrolls a ton of the company's revenue. So, Rooster Teeth now, they control their website. They control the ads that are served there. They can get direct deals with advertisers instead of having to use an ad network like Amazon or Google or Facebook. So Rooster Teeth pulls it off, but the number that I saw, 5 to 10 times more value. That's shocking. That's a big number because obviously they're pulling in thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views a day. And they're able to serve up ads with that. So that's a pretty good stream of revenue for a company. And also, Carrie is not wrong about this. Animation is hard and it's expensive. It's true. You need a lot to make good animation today. And that's what Rooster Teeth does. They've got a many-year history of building that. So he didn't say specifically what was moved or when, but multiple threads on Reddit. Gotta love the Reddit community. From the second half of September say that most of Red vs. Blue appears to have disappeared from YouTube. And yes, we know that. So here's my concern. And I want you guys to think about this in terms of big picture. Okay. I just explained part of the reason that you would want to control your own ad network. I just explained part of the reason that you would want to control your own content distribution. Okay. It's on their site. It's not on YouTube. It's not on somebody else's platform. It's on theirs. Just like Amazon does with Amazon Prime Video. Just like HBO has done with what is now, it's changed names again. They call it Max, but it's the Discovery Plus network because it's owned by Discovery, which bought Warner Brothers, which owned HBO, and HBO had Max. Okay, whatever. Netflix does it with its content, right? Everybody is building out their own networks again. How is this different from cable in the 90s? How many different places are we going to have to go to get content? All of a sudden, somebody has to bundle these. Somebody's got to put these things together because the whole reason that the cable networks were but declining in popularity was because people they had to buy access to 300 channels and they watched 4 of them. So it's like, I don't need a giant cable package. Well, now everybody is breaking off. So now you got to get your Netflix subscription. You got to get your Paramount subscription. You got to get your Hulu subscription. You got to get your Amazon Prime. You got to get your Discovery. You got to get you got to get all these different places, and they all cost money again. We're going right back to the original problem that the internet said it was going to solve. The internet, whatever that is, the internet said we are going to replace the failing business model of cable television. We're not going to have to do advertising. You're not going to have to pay subscription fees. And we're going to have everything available to you in one place called whatever, Netflix or whatever. Nope. Now you've got to buy 5 different networks and you're still going to have to watch ads even if you buy the memberships. It's all bad. This isn't a viable solution. This is going to be so frustrating. This is not a reasonable solution to this problem, but everybody is getting so greedy because they're realizing after 3 decades of trying to do this, they're realizing that creating content is expensive. You have to be able to have more money. So these people are saying, fine, well, we're going to hoard the money. We're going to force, subscriptions, and then we're going to do ads, but we have to control it. We have to get all of the money because this stuff is expensive to make. Great. Now we're back to the original problem. So how does any of this help? If I wanted to watch, a popular, let's say a YouTube content creator, I wanted to watch Red versus Blue, and I wanted to watch a BBC documentary, and I wanted to watch, whatever. I wanted to watch a variety of content. I could go to YouTube. It was all available on YouTube. It's great. I can watch, this video and that video and that video, and I would get pre-roll ads, or I might get mid-roll ads. I might get interstitial banners. I might get, all these different things, but at least I had one place to go. Now it's fracturing. If I want to watch a movie, I've got to turn on my Amazon Prime, or maybe my Paramount Plus, or maybe my Hulu, or maybe my Netflix. It's a pain in the ass now. It's like, oh shit, hold on. How many buttons does my remote have for my television? Oh, that's right. 4,000 because I need all the network buttons. It's bad. So I completely understand, and I'm not faulting Rooster Teeth for doing this. I'm simply saying that this is part of a larger problem, and I don't think society has caught on to the problem because it hasn't hit them yet. It hasn't quite hit that inflection point of being a pain in the ass, but I promise it's coming. Because you're not going to want to log into all these different services. You're not going to pay for all these different services. You're not going to want to get, you're not going to want to pay and then get ads from all these different services. What's the deal? Twitter, aka X, or X, aka Twitter, whatever, Elon's company, that thing, that dumpster fire. Now they're getting into the content business. Now they're making TV shows, big air quotes. It's like, really? Who wants to go to Twitter to watch television? Nobody. What? Great. I get to go onto Twitter to watch a TV show and I'm going to get Nazi ads to my right. No, nobody wants to do this. But that's another thing where somebody has said, let's make content in this own place. This little isolated pocket of the internet, we're going to house our own crap. It's the same thing behind Rumble. It's the same thing behind Kick. Well, Kick. No, I take that back. Kick does not fall into this category because that's not why Kick started. The Kick started as a reaction, not as a unique business model to solve something else. So I do not put Kick in that category. That wasn't fair. My apologies. It's a bad. This is going to be a bigger problem as it gets worse because it's going to get worse because these companies are not making enough money. They think they're not making enough money. Okay. We're just going to have to deal with it. And unfortunately, we are going to be the victims first because they're just going to do what they need to do to generate more revenue. We're the ones who have to pay for it. And I don't. Like, I am so tired of paying for these services. I don't have Netflix. It's a waste. I don't need another service to not watch, or I don't need another service where I will watch one show. It just doesn't make any sense. So, whatever. That's just me. Everybody else can spend their money however they feel like it. So yeah, a lot of your Rooster Teeth programming is now going to be found on the Rooster Teeth website. That's where you have to go. You will no longer find it on YouTube because YouTube didn't pay them enough money. That's simple. Moving on. Look, it's the Xbox logo again, but it's the first time tonight that we're talking about it individually. Why are we talking about just Xbox? Well, it's real simple. Xbox captures will now be deleted after 90 days. For all of my friends who are virtual photographers, go back up your stuff now. You probably have years worth of cool shots and beautifully framed images that you captured on your Xbox. They're going to get deleted on January 1st. That's the new rule. Effective in January, Xbox is going to start deleting any file that is over 90 days old. So if you capture it literally in the last 2 weeks, other than October 1st, you might lose it. They'll be there for the next few days after the rollover. But yes, Xbox is going to delete screen captures that were taken older than 90 days. And that's going to move, and that is retroactive. So it's not just, from now on, if it's 90 days. No. If it's over 90 days old on January 1st, it is gone. You will lose it. Deletion. Goodbye. They're not storing it. They're not saving it. They're not giving you a grace period. Your grace period is October, November, and December. January 1, files are vanishing. So make sure you protect your stuff. Go back it up immediately because... And this is a reasonable thing. I don't fault Microsoft for this. I don't think it's a bad thing that they're doing. It is ridiculously expensive to store all of this data. It's just insane. It's not just server costs. It's maintenance costs. It's employee costs. You have to pay people to keep this thing running. With the number of people that are on the Xbox system, Game Pass and all of that, it's a lot of data that they don't get a lot of value from. And it's not like somebody is going to not buy an Xbox because they don't keep their files for more than 90 days. That's not part of the consideration process for a console. Nobody's looking at it going, I don't know, Xbox or PlayStation. Well, Xbox doesn't keep files for 90 days, so I'm not buying an Xbox. First of all, they lost that war to begin with. So who cares? Like, you're already being outsold by your competitor, so this feature isn't going to help you, and it's just dragging down your costs. So let's eliminate that. It's a reasonable thing. You're going to see more and more of it happening. Anybody who had these legacy storage programs are going to eliminate them because they don't offer a lot of value to the customer. Is it convenient? Yes. But it's also a thing where, like, hey, we're going to give you 3 months to put it on a drive somewhere. So, like, we're cool. We're going to help you, but we got to scrub this every once in a while. It's reasonable. Twitch does the same thing. Twitch does not store VODs for non-Prime people and non-partners. So if you're not Amazon, like if Prime Gaming, if you don't have Prime Gaming, and if you're not an Amazon, if you're not a Twitch partner, they don't store your VODs past 2 weeks. If you are in either of those categories, you lose them after 2 months. So it's not like they're retaining this stuff forever. They do keep clips and highlights for, I think, forever. So like that's interesting. But like the whole 8-hour streams, yeah, they're like no. If you have a 1 hour highlight, we'll look at it weird, but Twitch doesn't do it. So Amazon's not going to store your data for that long. Microsoft OneDrive, does OneDrive store forever? I think it does, but you have to pay for the storage. I take that back. So it's not a similar program. So all of these things are leading to having a very cost heavy program where the value doesn't prove itself to the company. That being the case, they can't foot the bill forever. And you got to remember also Game Pass, they're now putting more things onto Game Pass with this thing we're going to talk about later. So there's going to be, hopefully, if Microsoft gets its wishes, more people using this network. It would be more cost for them. So like the cost just compounds. It becomes a problem after a problem after a problem. It's a reasonable thing. Unless you're Chappie. Chappie disagrees. He says, I disagree. They are raising Game Pass prices. So what exactly are those costs covering? If it's servers that should be baked into screenshots, etc. It's not. It's covering the cost of a $69 billion acquisition that we're about to talk about. The increased costs are also covering the increased cost for game development. Chappie and I both know, Chappie is a fellow Star Citizen player, the cost for developing Star Citizen is approaching $1 billion. There are many, many estimates now that the new GTA 6 is costing over $1 billion to make. It's just not cheap to make games anymore because we, the consumers, are looking for higher quality, better support. This stuff is just expensive. So the Game Pass prices, and you got to remember, Game Pass also gives you free or like $1 access, whatever you paid. It's giving you ridiculously low cost access to hundreds of games that you would previously pay $60 a pop for. But how many people do you know have gone on to Game Pass simply because you get so many new titles so often for nothing? So they've got to cover that cost. And even if that's only, $14.99 a person or even $25 a person, whatever, it's covering so much cost because they want your time. They want your merch purchases. They want your data. They want your ad revenue. They've got to get it from other places, but ultimately the cost of Game Pass itself for the consumer has to go up. And again, it's not that let's think of it this way. Could Microsoft pay for this storage indefinitely? Absolutely. Microsoft is a 100 billion plus corporation around the world. Microsoft could pay for this, but it doesn't make sense for them to do so. I don't think it's unreasonable for them to give somebody 90 days, be like, dude, we're giving you 3 months to take your picture and put it where you want it. It just can't be here forever. I don't see the fair exchange if the consumer is saying, Microsoft, you have to house this for the rest of your life. Why? Like what? Why is that Microsoft's responsibility? It's your picture. That would be like back in the day, like having Polaroid store all of our photos. Like what? Why? Why is that Polaroid? It's my picture. Let me do it. It's my picture. I'll do what I want with it. I'll move it around. I'm going to control it. I'm going to house it. I don't see the logic in asking Microsoft to store these things indefinitely. So I don't disagree with their decision, but I think it's important for, like I said, for gamers as a whole, but certainly for my fellow virtual photographers. If you've got these beautiful shots, make sure you protect them. You've got 90 days to do it. Go put them on a hard drive somewhere. Store your stuff, protect it, keep it under your control, because Microsoft doesn't deserve to control it anyway. That's just the libertarian give me my shit and you don't get to touch it stuff. That's just my view on it's mine. I don't want you controlling it. I don't want you selling it for ad dollars. I don't want you repurposing my image for one of your weird ads that, all of a sudden, well, you gave us permission. It's like, okay, but I didn't read the contract, So there's that kind of stuff. Sure, giving 90 days isn't unreasonable, but I disagree that it's not valuable. And as to why they should store it, because it's their service. Not anymore. That's their whole point, Chappie. Their whole point is it's not their service anymore. They gave you the service of being able to take the picture. They gave you the temporary service of storing it until you could move to your own location, but that will be the end of their service. So, nope. It's like, the guy who is now maintaining your car used to be the guy who used to shoe your horse. Well, why don't you still make horseshoes? Well, it's because I don't need to anymore. So, no. Life has to go on, and we're going to do that. And how does Microsoft make life go on? Well, it's quite simple. Let's move on to tonight's big chat. Tonight's big chat is, once again, we're talking about Xbox, but tonight we are talking about Activision Blizzard. The deal is done. We have talked about I meant to check this and I forgot to do it. I think we talked about the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal on episode 1 of the podcast. This is now episode 20. The deal's done. As of this morning, the CEO, Phil Spencer, he sent out an email to all staff welcoming Activision Blizzard and King into the Xbox family. It got released into the media, and I think I have a copy of the statement. Yes, quote, "Today we start the work to bring beloved Activision Blizzard and King franchises to Game Pass and other platforms." Again, billions of dollars of intellectual property has just been brought onto the Game Pass that you pay a few bucks a month for. That's why storage has to go. We'll share more about when you can expect to play in the coming months. We know you're excited, and we are too. Quote, "Now you got to remember, a lot of this hung up on the control of cloud gaming. Okay. That's where all the regulators lost it. That's where Sony was trying to pick their fight and say, look, we're going to die on the hill of if you allow Microsoft to buy Activision Blizzard, you are taking a massive part of cloud gaming out of the marketplace and it will be controlled by one company. Ultimately, Sony lost that fight. So in today's message, Phil Spencer addresses that. Quote, "For the millions of fans who love Activision Blizzard and King games, we want you to know that today is a good day to play. You are the heart and soul of these franchises, and we are honored to have you as part of our community. Whether you play on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, or mobile, you are welcome here and will remain welcome, even if Xbox isn't where you play your favorite franchise. Because when everyone plays, we all win. We believe our news today will unlock a world of possibilities for more ways to play. Thank you for the ongoing support. We have so much more to come in the months ahead, and I'm excited for the future and cannot wait to share it with you, blah, blah, blah." Here's what happened. This morning, the British regulation, Content marketing? Oh, God, I suddenly forgot what CMA stood for. There it is, Competition and Markets Authority. I was so not close. The Competition and Markets Authority, there was only 2 regulating governments that were holding up this deal. One was the United States. The other was the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom and their Competition and Markets Authority, they were saying that they did have that concern. They shared the concern about cloud gaming. So what they forced Microsoft to do, because originally they rejected the deal outright. They were like, no, we don't think this is going to be good for the gaming community. We don't think this is going to be good for software development. No, not happening. We reject your merger. And so when it looked like they were losing, and after the British public got really pissed off at their members of parliament, and then the members of parliament stepped in and said, how are you making this wrong decision? The CMA changed their tactic a little bit. CMA came back and said, okay, you got to give us something. We need to see something that is going to protect, that is going to keep in a diverse environment, cloud gaming and intellectual property rights. Microsoft had made a couple of concessions throughout this merger process. The biggest one was that they made a deal with Sony. They said, okay, we are going to write a 10-year deal with Sony that Activision Blizzard titles will stay on their platform. They will still have access to it. It will still be integrated and cross-platform and all of those good things. We promised to do that for a decade. Sony was like, damn it, that sounds good, but it's not enough, but we have to agree. And they did. So Sony signed that deal. So that was a huge win for Microsoft. But then the Brits required something else. And this is where the Brits were smart and the Americans are now dumb. The Brits said, okay, but that doesn't really do anything for like keeping the intellectual property in a diverse control. You still are going to control it. You're just signing the contract. You're still controlling the access. You just happen to be giving it to Sony. We need more. So what the Brits required was that now the intellectual property for Europe has to be controlled by Unreal. No, was it Unreal? Who did they gave it to? Somebody. Ubisoft, sorry, not Unreal, the other U game. I was like, that's not the right name. They gave it to Ubisoft. So what that means is that Ubisoft will control the licensing rights for all of these titles and not Microsoft. And I think that's a 15-year deal. So basically, they were like, look, you don't get to control everything. You might own it, but you're not going to control the licensing for it. If somebody else wants to do it, they're not going to have to ask Microsoft permission. They have to go to Ubisoft, and Ubisoft's like, cool, all right, we'll do the licensing. Great. It's not our titles. What the hell do we care? So they won. The Brits got some concessions. The Americans didn't. The United States Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, has basically fought Microsoft on legal standing. Not so much the concept of the merger, not so much the concept of game control, not so much the concept of cloud gaming, but they said, we just don't want you to merge. We just don't like the whole idea. So they've been fighting them in court. Well, recently they lost the big court battle. The big court battle was not the FTC court, which, by the way, that's another interesting fact about United States law. The FTC has its own court system. It's not criminal court. It's not civil court. It's literally called FTC court. It's so stupid. Anyways, so it is a separate court system specifically for FTC cases. The FTC was fighting this battle, and they had to get an appeal in a court in California. The court in California ruled in Microsoft's favor. And they said, look, we don't see the concern that the government has. We don't see the problems. It looks like this is going to be fine. They already granted the 10-year deal to Sony. What do you want from them? Like, we're done. So that court case was lost by Microsoft. The FTC has said, we're going to appeal that. The problem is it's a federal appeal. It's going to take years. And the actual case in the FTC court can't really move forward until that's resolved, and that case is taking years. So with all the other objections gone and the UK finally signed on, Microsoft got their acquisition today. They're done. Now, some people are saying, well, wait, the FTC could unwind the whole deal. Sure, in 2027. Who the fuck cares? It's going to be so far down the line, you can't unwind it. It would be almost impossible for them to then unwind everything that was put together, and the FTC at that point would just look stupid. Stupider than they do today. The Brits were smart and got a concession. The Brits saw the writing on the wall and said, all right, come back here. Let's all look like we're winners. And, you're going to give us something and then we're going to give you a deal. The FTC was like, no, stomp feet, whine. Now the American government just looks dumb. So Activision's part of Xbox now. It's effective today. Legally, it's effective today. And what's going to happen is over the next few months, you're going to see you're going to see the intellectual properties transfer over. You're going to see them, they got to build out all the marketing channels because they have to announce all of these titles that are now coming, and they now have the structure to do it. So all of the, and they've got to pace this stuff too. They can't just dump all of Activision and all of Blizzard and all of King. They can't just dump that onto their platform and say, okay, go play games. They gotta space things. They got to put them, they're going to do seasonal sales, and it's going to be, we're going to put some stuff on consoles. We're going to put some stuff on PC. We're going to put some stuff on mobile. And now that we own it, we could also do remasters of it. We could rework it. We could re-release it. We could do all of these interesting things that previously Microsoft didn't have the ability to do. Now they can. So it's a different world, Dances happily. Bye-bye, Bobby Coat. I'm not sure that's the case, man. So Chappie in chat said that he's waiting for Bobby to go away from Activision. Bobby is the source and the head cheerleader for the bro culture that has nearly ruined that company. It's one of the reasons Activision was available for this takeover. Partially because Activision was in such bad shape that Microsoft was able to swoop in and say, we'll give you money for it. You need it more than we do, so let's do it. It's his crap leadership. Look, he's done some very successful things at Activision. I'm not saying that that's not the case. What I am saying is that the toxicity and the sexual harassment and just the real negative working environment that was Activision Blizzard was on him. He was in charge of that. He was leading it. He was all about that, and he's not a different guy. So, I'm not sure he's actually going to split. I think he's going to stick around for a while. Microsoft may ask him, to eventually hit the door, but I think that it's not going to come immediately. I think we're probably going to hear about it maybe the beginning of the year. If it happens, I think, it's going to be around the start of 2024. We'll see what happens. So, hopefully Microsoft can help these companies grow up. Because they need it. They need an adult in the room, and Bobby ain't it. So that's one thing that I hope for, is that they improve the professionalism of the culture, because, I think we all know at this point there are probably 90% of all the female developers in the world will not work at Activision. They just don't want to go there. It's a terrible place to work for them, especially. But even for the guys that are there, that's not the kind of place that most decent men want to work. So, they're going to skip that one. I hope Microsoft brings some of the professionalism, brings some culture to it. Now, of course, there is the risk. Microsoft has a habit of not releasing games, and they just bought some big studios that make games. So, there's going to be some cons to this, because Microsoft has really failed at game releasing, when after they buy things. I think most recently we could point at Redfall. We could look at Redfall and be like, wow, that sucked. Microsoft totally screwed the pooch on that one. And eventually they admitted it. They said, we were very hands-off on this. We weren't paying attention. We weren't paying enough attention to it. So Redfall suffered. And now, like literally right now, you can go, there have been moments of this. You could go into a multiplayer and not have enough people for a four-person game. Like there would literally be 2 or 3 people on a server. So Microsoft has definitely made some mistakes, but they admitted that one. And they were like, hey, we're going to fix this. We're going to go and be more proactive, and we're going to get more involved. And they did that with Starfield. After the failures of Redfall, there's a lot of stories that came out of Bethesda where it was like, no, Microsoft came in and they really wanted to make sure that this was going to work right. They started double checking everything. They started getting involved in meeting, so there's some stories about that kind of stuff. But hopefully we don't see that with Activision, because again, the history of Activision, the history of Blizzard, and even King, these are very, very popular IPs. Hopefully Microsoft doesn't run them into the ground, either through overmanagement or through a lack of understanding of the gamer culture that made these titles big. Microsoft, I'm not sure that they get that yet. But Phil Spencer is the king of the world today. He just closed the biggest tech deal today, probably since AOL Time Warner. I think that's the case. I would imagine that it is the biggest tech merger since AOL Time Warner, like 20 years ago. And Phil Spencer did it. He got it through. He got it through all the country regulators. He got it through the competition. He defeated Sony at a PR war. All of these things happened, and Phil Spencer was at the helm for it. So we can all say whatever we want about Phil Spencer, much like we could about, John, who was running Unity. We could say all these successful things or negative things, but ultimately they did get things done. So it's going to be interesting. So that's it. That is where we leave it for tonight, everybody. Microsoft, Xbox, Activision, Blizzard. I don't know what the new entity is going to be called. Maybe Activision Blizzard is just going to stay Activision Blizzard. Who the hell knows? We'll find out more in the coming days, but that's what is going on for this week. Don't forget, next week I will be at TwitchCon, so there will not be a live podcast on Friday nights. My family and I are heading out Thursday, so there will not be a Twitch stream on Thursday, but I will return the following Monday. But this coming week, I will be doing the regular streams on Monday, Wednesday, and then, of course, this weekend, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Pacific time, we've got the collab with Rise Above. I'm going to be playing Phasmophobia for the first time. And on Sunday, if you are a Diamond Discord sub, I've got a special IRL stream for you at a special location, which I have disclosed in the Discord. So definitely check out that event and mark your RSVP. Everybody else, go have yourself a good morning, a good day, a good night, whatever it is for you. And I will actually see you on Monday. See ya.